Save systems are one of the most overlooked but important mechanics in games. But at best, they usually go unnoticed, and at worst, they're Chrono Trigger on Android. But save systems are incredibly important in not just holding a player's data, but in how the audience chooses to interact with the game. And sometimes, they don't even save data. Thanks, Pokemon Blue. In this video, I want to go over the history of save systems and how save mechanics can enhance gameplay and story. One of the earliest known games to save a player's data is Taito's 1978 arcade shooter, Space Invaders. The cabinet would save the highest score and display it at the top of the screen. By simply recording and displaying the achievements of previous players, Space Invaders made a game that sought players beating each other's scores again and again, and most likely contributed to the game's success and has become a staple of the arcade genre. Later on, we had saving with home computers in the early 80s with the use of cassettes and floppy disks. What was most interesting though, were games that refused to have saving altogether. Roguelikes, such as Rouge, passed on saving altogether. They were based on single play sessions, to see how far a player could reasonably get, not unlike most arcade games. While many arcade games would give players multiple lives or force them to shovel in more quarters, Rogue created what could be considered the first permadeath system. It shouldn't be understated how Rogue paved the way for possibly the most pervasive subgenre in recent years, simply by removing the most basic of features. Many roguelikes vary on how much is saved between sessions, with some opting for gradual progression and some having complete permadeath, leading to roguelike and roguelite games from Enter the Gungeon, Nuclear Throne, The Binding of Isaac, Dead Cells, and many, many more. But some PC games use save systems for large games that could take days or even weeks to complete. One such game is Zork, The Great Underground Empire, and I think that it displays a problem unique to save systems. In a 1981 article from Byte Magazine, Volume 6, Number 2, by Bob Little, the author noted that the save system was great for those playing over long periods of times, quote, while some cowards used it to retain their hard-earned position in the game before making some dangerous moves, end quote. This is one of the earliest mentions I could find of save scumming in video games. Save scumming is when a player abuses a game by repeatedly saving and reloading so as not to face the consequences of dying or making a wrong choice. This obviously makes most games less enjoyable, as players aren't learning from their mistakes or learning a game's mechanics, but essentially just cheating the system.
Your race descent has only worsened since our last story.
You cheated not only the game, but yourself. You didn't grow, you didn't improve. You took a shortcut and gained nothing. You experienced a hollow victory. Nothing was risked and nothing was gained. It's sad that you don't know the difference.
This is most prevalent in games that allow for manual saving nearly everywhere, such as in many Bethesda titles.
Now get the hell out of here, both of you.
You gotta be kidding me. Fine. We'll leave.
Congratulations, you won.
In fact, in the instruction manual for The Elder Scrolls II: Daggerfall, it openly denounces save scumming and encourages players to play past their mistakes, rather than instantly reloading a previous save. But simply telling players to pretty please not do something that benefits them with no repercussions typically doesn't pan out, as players will always go for the dominant method. I highly recommend watching Game Maker's Toolkit video on playing past your mistakes, as it outlines key design techniques that discourage or inhibit quick reloads and save scumming. But how do you change this with the save system itself? One way to curb this is by changing how players interact with save systems, and in turn, how they interact with the rest of the game. If players can save and reload anywhere, they will inevitably play recklessly. But if you mandate saving to select areas or autosaves, the audience will play much more cautiously and thoughtfully. One example is the Resident Evil series. In most of the entries, saving is limited to certain safe rooms, and can only be done a certain number of times through the use of consumable items. be it ink ribbons to cassette tapes. This negates players from making a dozen new saves every couple of steps, and forces players to think conservatively with their health and ammo. This is also a great example of a game using its save system to enrich its tone. Stressing out over losing an hour of save data fits Resident Evil's horror theme perfectly, and playing with unlimited saves completely changes the experience. It's no wonder that many games implement horror with save systems, such as how Eternal Darkness, Doki Doki Literature Club, or Undertale will pretend to have deleted your save files. There's nothing quite as scary as lost time.
When your life reaches zero, the game is over. There are no continues, my friend.
When developers change how you save the game, they can also dictate how you are intended to play the game. Take, for example, Darkest Dungeon. In this dungeon-crawling roguelike, nearly every action is followed by an autosave, including character deaths. This means that, unlike other games with permadeath, such as Fire Emblem, where you can save scum by turning the console off and on again, or escaping to the home menu, if one of your characters dies in Darkest Dungeon, it's goodbye forever. This forces players to act the way the developers want them to, by thinking carefully and diligently and only taking risks when absolutely necessary. This brutal autosaving also reflects the despairing tone and narrative of Darkest Dungeon, and makes losing a character feel all the more impactful.
No! No! Fuck!
It's also why challenge runs such as Nuzlocke runs in Pokemon feel so much more impactful. Knowing that your favorite Pokemon, Ampharos, could be gone forever makes for much stronger connections than in a normal run. A unique example is Dead Rising. In this game, you're constantly racing against the clock to complete a laundry list of tasks before an inevitable countdown. This means that you'll have to make constant choices of where to go, what to do, and how to allocate your time. The catch is, there's only one save slot, meaning you can't make several saves at different points and simply rewind to whenever you wish. This prevents players from learning the ins and outs of the game and simply doing everything with the knowledge of hindsight again and getting a perfect run. This isn't to knock typical save systems or being able to save anywhere. It definitely has its place. It can let players make a myriad of different decisions in a branching story, or just be efficient for players that have to put down and pick up the game at any time, or useful for players that need some extra help at the game. Undertale even has tongue-in-cheek fourth wall breaks for players that save and reload over certain scenarios. But this can sometimes hurt the impact and tone a game is trying to achieve. Take 1999's Alien vs. Predator for example. The developers deliberately made save states few and far between so as to create the sense of dread and tension similar to the source material, but many of these players found these sparse saves infuriating, as they would often die near the end of a level only to start from the beginning. This led to the developers adding in the ability to save within levels, with the release of the Millennium Expansion Pass and future re-releases. It's a conundrum of wanting to make games accessible enough for everyone, while also not wanting to compromise the artistic vision and intent of a game. How do you make something resonant with players without being inconvenient? In his Gamasutra article, Saving the Day, Save Systems and Games, game designer David Sirlin had this to say about Dead Rising's saving mechanic. Quote, I understand why a designer might create a save system like this that reinforces the concepts of the horror genre, but games are not meant to satisfy game designer ideals, they are for players. I was personally annoyed by this system to the point of quitting, because I could not play it the way I wanted. The type of save system may work for hardcore players, who border on sadomasochism anyway, but the fictional little Jimmy from Idaho, the person I often design for, is just going to quit playing out of frustration. I know I did. Sirlin does mention a unique solution found in Castlevania: Dawn of Sorrow. The game utilizes standard fixed location save spots, but also has save markers that allow a player to save nearly anywhere, even during boss fights. This is useful for players that need to put the game down or take a break and let them resume anywhere. But the trick is, if you reload a save from either the save marker or a save point, the save marker is destroyed. This deters players from quick saving during a battle again and again until they win, because they are only given one chance, while also being accessible for players who need to save and quit anytime. This is actually very similar to Dark Souls. Aha, I said the funny phrase, haha. Data is permanently saved at bonfires, but you can suspend the game anywhere through the system menu. But that suspended data is deleted upon reloading, meaning you can't continuously return to that point after every slip-up. The trick is to make something that is convenient to the player while also not being exploitable. A close relative to save systems is the checkpoint, and Shovel Knight might be my favorite example. There are several checkpoints throughout each level that let you respawn at their location whenever you lose a life. Pretty standard. What's different is that you can destroy these checkpoints in exchange for more treasure, at the expense of that checkpoint being unusable after death. This creates a risk versus reward system, where you are given more treasure, but given a higher chance of losing that treasure. By letting players have the agency to destroy these checkpoints, Yacht Club Games made a dynamic difficulty setting that doesn't follow the constraints of just another typical binary and meaningless difficulty option on the menu screen. Shovel Knight does what, in my opinion, most games should follow. They shouldn't punish inexperienced players, but reward skillful players. There's also the history of password systems in early NES games like Metroid and Kid Icarus. These dual-functioned as save states and as cheat codes, such is the case for the Justin Bailey code in Metroid. That's right, I know about the Justin Bailey code because I am a true epic gamer. Though passwords have become obsolete even by the end of the NES lifecycle, due to cartridges having batteries to store save data. Though less than 50 NES games actually had battery saves, games like The Legend of Zelda set the standard for saving. There are many more interesting save systems in games. Alien Isolation forces players to stand in place for about 5 seconds, making them easy targets for any xenomorphs around.
Come on, come on, come on!
The Metal Gear Solid series has you call supporting characters over the radio to save. This opens up new dialogue and expands the story and characters in a natural way.
Fool the enemy into thinking I was a box.
You'd have to be an absolute idiot to be fooled by that.
Yeah, maybe. But there are more idiots in this world than you think.
You mean like you?
But I think that we're all forgetting about the greatest save system ever, as seen in Mother 3. It's a frog in a car. Yeah, gotta end the video here. Doesn't get any better than that.